Hey guys, today we're going to talk about context clues. I want you guys to grab your reading notebook. I hope you've kind of noticed you're going to always need your notebooks close by. Wherever you do your online school, you're going to want your notebooks and your whiteboard and a pencil always nearby. Okay, I'll give you about 30 seconds to get it because you need to make sure it's always nearby. And then we will get started. As always, you're going to open up to the next clean page. It's easiest if you don't jump around in your book, like just open up to any page. Open up to the next clean page. Whenever I did realistic fiction, it's right before this, and this is the next clean page. We're going to put the date at the top. The long date is August 26th, 2020, and the short date is 8/26/20. And today we're going to talk about context clues. Context clues. Remember, boys and girls, you can always pause our videos if I'm going too fast or you need to catch up, okay? Context clues are, I'm going to use a bullet, are hints found in sentences that a reader can use to understand the meaning of an unknown word. I'm going to give you just a minute to get that written down. And again, if you need to pause it, you can do it now. Now, while you're doing that, I'll go ahead and tell you, in our Google Classroom, I posted 2 different anchor charts about context clues that you can look at. We're not going to write all that down today, but you might want to check it out and just kind of look over it. Again, that would be like posters that we had hanging in our classroom. Now, there are different kinds of context clues, okay? And you don't have to memorize all the different kinds, but I just want to tell you what they are, okay? You can use logic. Does it make sense? What makes sense in the sentence? What makes sense? For example, I know Miss Hart will want to help the food drive. She is very compassionate. Well, compassionate probably means helpful if you're helping with a food drive. They could give an example. Miss Hart is a compassionate person and volunteers at the food bank. That's an example. She's compassionate because she volunteers at the food bank. Antonyms. I know you've heard that word before. We're going to be learning lots about antonyms this year. Words that mean the opposite. Miss Hart is compassionate, but her sister is uncaring. So the opposite of compassionate is uncaring. You can just give the definition. You can tell Miss Hart is compassionate by the way she treats everyone kindly. Compassionate means to treat everyone kindly. Or that you could use a synonym, a word that means the same. Miss Hart is compassionate and is caring for others. Compassionate means caring for others. I'll give you about 30 seconds to catch up. And again, if you need to pause it and catch up, you can. It's really important that we take these notes in our notebooks so that we can always look back. It's kind of like we always have anchor charts with us to study. I don't really remember what Mrs. Marlin means when she says context clues. Let me look back in my reading notebook and see what it is. We have some we're going to do together. Okay. Again, if you're not done and you're not ready to move on, you can pause here. I'm going to move my notebook. And we are going to look at some examples and some different context clues. Boys and girls, you have some slides like this in our Google Classroom for homework, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, okay? Not this set, but a set that looks like these, okay? Let's read the sentence. The homeless cat hadn't eaten for days and was so slender you could see his ribs. I'm seeing the word homeless cat. That seems like a clue. And if you could see his ribs, is he tired or lazy, sad or thin or skinny? I'm thinking thin or skinny. If he's homeless, he probably doesn't have very much food. And if you could see his ribs. So I'm going to fill in the circle by C because I think it means thin or skinny. While hiking, the family came across an old empty shack that had been abandoned. It looked like nobody had been there for years. Okay, I'm seeing empty shack and nobody's been in it for years. Do you think it's left alone or deserted, playing music, or destroyed? I'm thinking left alone or deserted if nobody had been in there for years. So I'm going to come down here and mark A. Even though Mom loved chocolate, she rarely ate it because she knew too much sugar wasn't good for her. Okay, if she knows too much sugar wasn't good for her, let's think about what rarely means. Do you think she always eats it? Do you think she sometimes but not often eats it? Or do you think rarely means unhealthy? I think rarely means sometimes or not often because she knows it's not good for her, so she doesn't eat it very often. Don't be tricked by this because I think some people want to put unhealthy because chocolate is unhealthy, but that's not what rarely means. She's saying she rarely ate it, which means she didn't eat it very often. George's mom wanted him to reduce the amount of television he watched, so he spent more time playing outside with his friends. Did she want him to recycle, lessen or lower, or increase? If he's spending more time with his friends, she probably wanted him to lessen or lower the amount of screen time or television he watched. Do your parents ever tell you that? I know I do with my kids. After a long day working in the sun, Cameron was exhausted and felt drained. Do you think he's full of water, emptied out, or tired? Exhausted. He's tired. Even though her mom always called her a princess, after a long day of chores, Carrie felt more like a servant than a princess. All right, so she's done doing chores. She doesn't feel like a princess. Is she a waitress, an employee, or royalty? I don't think royalty, so I can mark that one off. I'm kind of stuck between waitress and an employee. I'm going with an employee. I've decided on that because she's been working all day. Mom was worried that the peak of the house was too elevated for Dad to put Christmas lights. The peak of the house. High or tall, spiky or ugly? High or tall. I think that one's pretty easy. And I think we have one more. The foul smell of rotten food was coming from the old trash can, which had flies all over it. Pleasant, chicken, or disgusting. If it was rotten food, was an old trash can, had flies all over it, I'm thinking disgusting. Okay? Remember to use your context clues if you come to a word you don't know.